expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet, with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we are on coast to coast across the United States of America. They distributed us to cable systems serving an additional 12 million households. I'm your host, Gary Baumgarten. Before we get to our guest today, Boaz, I know you're not married, but did you know...
No, I'm not. What is it to you?
But did you know that there are millions of Americans, 40 million Americans who are married and they're involved in sexless marriages? In other words, no hoochie-coo going on between the husband and the wife?
Yeah, I'm aware of that. In fact, we are, according to statistics, we are the biggest cheaters in the world.
Well, I don't know whether our guest on Friday is going to talk about cheating specifically, but we have a contributing editor of Health Magazine who's going to come on and talk about why you're not having sex with your spouse. They actually did a survey at Health Magazine. 87% of the readers said that they wish that they were having more sex, and it's estimated that about 40 million Americans, 40 million, are in sexless marriages. And Well,
I'll tell you why that is.
What?
I'll tell you why that is, Gary. It's because of the lifestyle that people live. You go to work in the morning, you get home 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, you're tired, you want to go to sleep. I mean, there's no time for family. This sex, Gary, is part of the quality time you have with your wife. And there's no room for quality time in such lifestyles.
Right, that could be the reason. Well, there are 10 reasons, according to Health Magazine. Leslie Goldman, contributing editor. By the way, 2 weeks ago, Friday, when we were having the Why Hasn't He Called show with Matt Titus and Tamsin Fadal, some guy called in and said, help me. My wife is not interested in having sex with me any longer. And so then when I read this article in Health Magazine, I said, bring your people on the show, because obviously we want to be of service to our audience, ladies and gentlemen. So it's not all doom and gloom, worried about homeland security and terrorism. Sometimes, the matters of the heart in the home are important to discuss as well. But today we're not talking about that. Today we're talking about the doom and gloom. Boys, the Patriot Act expired, I think, not the Patriot Act, the Protect America Act expired, I think, about a week ago. And I don't know if you recall,
right.
The president said it's going to be harder because of this for our government to keep Americans safe from terrorist attacks. The House Democrats refused to hold a vote on the legislation, which had been approved by the Senate. It would permanently expand the government's eavesdropping authority and give immunity to telecommunications companies that help the government monitor conversations. And the issue here is a balancing between civil liberties and the need to protect us from terrorist attacks. I don't know. I've been listening to this debate all along. I think that on a intellectual level, I'm for civil liberties. On a knee-jerk level, I'm for protecting me, against any kind of terrorist attack that might occur. So I thought it would be very prudent for us to bring onto the program somebody who's actually an expert in this area. Alistair Millar is director of the Center on Global Counterterrorism Cooperation. He's co-author of Allied Against Terrorism, What's Needed to Strengthen Worldwide Commitment. Millar also teaches graduate-level courses on counterterrorism and U.S. foreign policy at Johns Hopkins University and at GWU, George Washington University in Washington, D.C. He believes that money that should be spent on domestic security is instead being funneled to the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Alistair Millar, welcome to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Hi, Gary. Good to be with you.
It's good to have you with us. I was listening to Mark Levin yesterday, and he's screaming at some lib. You commie lib. You cut and run lib, he was screaming. Don't you know that our president knew that by invading Iraq, we were taking the fight to the terrorists, and if we weren't in Iraq, we'd be fighting them here on the homeland of the United States. Get out of here! And he hung up on his caller. Is he right, or is he wrong?
No, that is a specious argument. What the president has frequently said, you know, the slogan, we're fighting them over there, so they don't have to come over here and fight us here. It just completely puts the wrong emphasis on who they are. You know, those who are fighting in Iraq are overwhelmingly Iraqi insurgents that have no interest at all in fighting us here at home. We have done a lot to kill and capture the leadership of Al-Qaeda that existed in the 90s and, of course, struck on 9/11. But the amount of resources and money and also opportunity costs that we've lost in terms of relationships with other countries and our opportunity to build alliances has been such a catastrophic waste and unfortunate diversion of money that really needs to be spent on protecting us in the eventuality of another attack occurring from people who probably have nothing to do, absolutely have nothing to do with the war in Iraq. So it's a specious argument. It's one that they like to use all the time. But we're in there, in Iraq, as a complete diversion from the real task at hand, and that was defeating Al-Qaeda right after 9/11. But first and foremost, it is the job number one of the President of the United States to protect the American people here.
Now, wait a minute. How can you say that they're not interested in fighting us here? We have 9/11 as proof, and we have thwarted terrorist attacks here in the United States as proof as well.
How many people that attacked us on 9/11 came from Iraq?
No, I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that. But I thought I heard you say, and maybe I misheard you, that they, meaning the terrorists, have no interest in fighting us here. Or are you suggesting the ones in Iraq have no interest in fighting us here in the homeland?
I'm suggesting that the foot soldiers, if you will, the insurgents in Iraq are not interested in fighting us in the United States. That's what I'm saying. They are fighting in Iraq, but they're not fighting us. They're not interested, and they do not have the wherewithal as separated from Al-Qaeda Central, which it has been, and I think this is a credit to the Bush administration. The leadership has been severely curtailed, and it's no longer a whole, you know, organization functioning as it was prior to 9/11.
Right. But is that not a fault? The Republicans would say that that's
defending ourselves here, okay, is a pittance in terms of what we are spending is a pittance on compared to what we're spending in Iraq. The amount that we're spending every week is absolutely catastrophic in terms of wasted and diverted funds. It's not protecting us. It's not bang for the buck.
Well, the Republicans would argue that that the reason the command and control of the Al-Qaeda is so weakened is because we're fighting them in Afghanistan and in Iraq.
Well, now you're bringing Afghanistan into it, and you know, you have to look at what we were doing in Afghanistan, particularly